We are live in Studio B. This is your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I am Spencer Linton alongside Jarom Jordan. Let's bring in our first guest of the day on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. He is a very talented writer and outstanding college football reporter for The Athletic. Chris Vannini back on the program. Chris, great to have you back on the show.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. It's a college football week, technically.
It feels wild. I mean, we're thinking about BYU, under 2 weeks away from opening the season against Navy, and there are going to be games before that. Is this actually going to happen, Chris? Are we going to actually kick off the season?
Yeah, it looks like it. I was very doubtful we'd get here. I was 50-50 for a while. We were waiting for students to get back to campus. You see NC State, ECU, North Carolina going to online-only classes, but it looks like for the time being, we're going to start. Now, are we going to finish? I don't know. But we are starting the college football season, and I think that's good news.
BYU's up to 8 games officially on the schedule. We've been hearing that BYU's trying to get to 10 or even 12. Do you think 8's enough? Is there this sort of pandemic understanding of everyone's just going to try and do their best and we'll figure out what this means a little bit later in the season?
I think 7, 8 is kind of the minimum, I think, of where you need it to be to feel comfortable if you're a fan. I mean, there have been some FCS teams that are only playing like 3 games in the fall because they're going to play a conference schedule in the spring, so that's even weirder. But I think if you play 8, you're okay. Obviously, you want to get more. There are some FCS teams still looking for games if BYU's still looking to add some. But now that we're kind of here, it's kind of time to start, and it's hard to add games once you start.
Chris, clearly BYU is not playing the schedule that they had originally lined up in terms of difficulty and name brand opponents. But the Cougars do have some national windows against Navy on Monday night on ESPN with Reese Davis and Kirk Herbstreit on the call. And then they'll play on CBS National Television, Brad Nessler and that SEC crew before SEC football actually kicks off. What can BYU do in those 2 weeks to try and take advantage of the added spotlight, and what could it propel them to this season?
Yeah, I mean, these early weeks are going to be a good spotlight for BYU, for Group of 5 schools who are going to get those national attention. Arkansas State Memphis is the first ESPN primetime game on September 5th. So it's an opportunity to show that there is football worth paying attention to outside of the Power 5, outside of the top 25. I'm someone who covers the Group of 5 in my job, and it's nice to see that these schools are going to get some spotlight because there are some really good teams there. And if you look at BYU's schedule, there's a lot of wins on there. And if you can make a good impression early on, especially those early primetime games, it could propel you to something like a top 25 ranking in a season where a lot of those top 25 teams aren't actually playing.
Yeah, only 76 FBS teams. So we've been talking about, okay, we say we put the blue goggles on, right, if we're going to be overly positive. But BYU does have an opportunity to get in the top 25. If BYU beats Navy and Army, are they knocking on the door? Are they in potentially?
It depends. Army obviously had a tough year last year. Navy was good, but they're without Malcolm Perry. Kind of depends maybe how those games go. It's going to depend. How do you rank a 2-0 BYU compared to a 0-0 SEC team? That's the big question that we've never really had to kind of handle before. So I rank all 76 teams every week. I used to do the 130. Now it'll be 76. And I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. Part of me is leaning toward at least 2 weeks in. If you haven't played yet, I'm going to throw you way down my rankings. I'm kind of inclined to put teams that have played 2 games ahead of teams that haven't played. So it's going to be very strange how to figure this out, but everything about the season is going to be strange.
we amen to that. We just want BYU above Utah because they aren't playing. So here's the thing: if BYU loses,
that'll happen. They'll be unranked in the top 76.
If BYU loses the first game, though, is Utah ranked higher? Oh shoot!
Don't give anybody the idea. Chris Vannini with us on BYU Sports Nation. Chris, when you look at the 8 games that BYU has scheduled right now, what's a fair expectation for BYU? Because we've been throwing around numbers like 7-1, minimum 6-2. What do you think is a fair expectation for BYU with the 8 announced games?
Yeah, I think 6-2, 7-1 is what I look at it as well. That the games that are toss-ups are probably Navy, Army, Houston, Western Kentucky, maybe Troy, maybe. But Houston should be better this year. Clayton Tune, the second year under Dana Holgerson, they should be better. Western Kentucky kind of came out of nowhere last year to be very strong. They've got a really good defense. They need to figure out quarterback and figure out what they want to do on offense. And then those first two games, when I saw Navy get added to the schedule and then Army get added, my first thought was I feel really bad for those BYU defensive coaches who have to, and those defensive linemen who now have to deal with triple options and cut blocks basically on a month's notice. You know, a couple years ago, I spent a couple days behind the scenes at SMU, and in the spring, they spent a whole day, the final day of spring practice, they used that just to prepare for the triple option because they were going to have to play Navy that year. That's how big of a deal it is to play these teams. And to get it on 1 month's notice, I know it looked like coaches had said the defense coordinator said they'd never really gone against it before, so that's going to be tough, and you just hope everybody's legs come out okay.
Yeah, and luckily BYU has them back-to-back, I guess, with a bye week between. We've talked about how September 12th, there were openings with other, say, Power 5 and or quality group of 5 teams, but we're of the opinion, hey, don't play because it's East Coast trip Monday night. You don't want to play a short week, and even if it's a home game, you just went through the ringer, and then you're going back east again on a Saturday afternoon game. We're of the opinion that it's in BYU's best interest probably to not play that week and have a bye week between those two games. What do you think?
Yeah, the teams that usually play Monday, it's usually an ACC game or something like that, they typically have a cupcake team that next Saturday anyway, not to mention they don't have to fly cross country. So I think it makes sense to take some time off in between those two games if you want to keep your team healthy and ready for the rest of the season.
Chris, what's the best case scenario for BYU? Let's say I feel like I should actually put on some physical blue goggles.
This is what we do, Chris.
Okay?
We put on these goggles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to even put this out there, let's say BYU goes undefeated. What's the best case scenario for BYU with these strange circumstances and the weaker schedule?
I don't think an 8-0 BYU is going to be in the college football playoff conversation. I do think, an 11-0 UCF could be, but I don't think eight games is enough to get you there, not to mention the teams that you're playing. Now, 8-0, I don't know what bowl game situation is going to be like. That is obviously completely up in the air. But say there is a bowl game, say they do go 9-0, go ahead and claim a national championship. I don't care. It's a weird season. I'm all for everybody claiming whatever they want to do. Undefeated, go wild. I guess that'd probably be your best case scenario.
Okay, is it crazy to think that BYU, for the first time ever with an undefeated schedule, could
put those back on?
All right, I'll put it back on. Okay. Could sneak into a New Year's 6 game because there are only 76 teams instead of 130, and there are 12 spots to fill in the New Year's 6.
Possible. I don't know how a lot of these games are going to go because they have contracts with different conferences. And what is it? You got to be in the top 12, I think, to be New Year's 6 or something like that if you're UCF or if you're a group of 5 team.
But not BYU, right?
Yeah. Yeah, independent is a whole separate deal. There's going to have to be a lot of openings, and I guess there will be openings. So it's possible. I mean, I imagine that if there's a Fiesta Bowl, they'd probably be pretty open to doing something like that. So I guess it's possible. Postseason is so hard to figure out right now because there are more bowl slots than there are teams going to be playing, period. So that has yet to be figured out. Playoff crew, the playoff committee, they say they're going forward doing their meetings and everything, but there's a lot that still has yet to be figured out.
I say play in 2 bowls. Why not? There'll be opportunities.
Chris, always great to talk with you. We enjoy reading your stuff and look forward to your all 76 rankings. For the time being, what are you working on now and where can we find it?
I am currently working on conference previews, which I didn't really know if I was going to have to do those or not, along with the 76. So those will be coming out over the weekend and going into next week. We'll have conference previews on all 6 conferences that are playing. I know BYU is obviously not in one of those, but I'll have the 76 up on probably Monday. So theathletic.com, got all sorts of discounts and stuff for your subscriber. Hope you guys check us out.
Fantastic. Chris, thanks so much for the time. We'll definitely be reading up.
Yep, thanks for having me, guys.
All right.